Hello everyone, and welcome back, not to another Hearthstone deck spotlight, but instead to the pack opening. We're here, as you can see I'm very frazzled, we woke up early, Boomsday has dropped, we're going to crack some packs. The fam is with me, in chat, Basil AK, everyone's chilling out, so let's go ahead. Oh my gosh, they shake as well. So we're going to go through, we'll talk a bit about the cards as we open them, because I realised that the last, oh my gosh, straight up, the last reveal stream, I didn't actually check many of the cards, so there's a whole bunch that I haven't really given my thoughts to, but bang, first 10 packs, first pack. So, Luna's Pocket Galaxy, this is pretty interesting. We were talking about this being kind of like a combo enabler. If you resolve this, and you still have like your Antonidas and your Sorcerer's Apprentices in the deck, it could allow you to do some more combo stuff. But yeah, the other thing we're thinking about is with Spiteful. So you play this as like one of the few spells in the deck, and then you can always get it with the Raven, as long as your opponent doesn't flip Ultimate Infestation, which they definitely will. But you can get it with the Raven, use it, have a deck full of minions. Could be pretty interesting. Other than that, Shooting Star's pretty cool. I think that'll be really good with all the spell damage stuff. Bomb Toss, I think, has been highlighted as one of the best, kind of, not best, but just a really solid card. Some removal puts a mech out, which could be helpful with Magnetize. Oh, we got a bunch of good ones here, hey. Except this Unpowered Mauler. Can attack if you cast a spell this turn. I think people were talking about this being interesting in like in a Fire Priest, where you can chain together some Shadow Visions and stuff. It's got pretty high toughness, is a mech, so if there's any like mech synergies going on for Inner Fire Priest, you could try and do those. And Missile Launcher as well, I think is pretty good if the meta shapes up that there's a lot of 1 toughness goobers around. The Missile Launcher could be pretty good as a neutral Despicable Dreadlord. Anyway, let's move on. How do you feel about these? This Electro Right's kind of cool. 3 mana 4/4 in a lot of decks, especially as a neutral. Could be pretty cool. I think this Meteorologist might be a bit of a sleeper. It looks really good in Arena, for sure, but there's a card like this in Shadowverse. It was a legendary, and it was one of the more busted cards. Like, you had to do a lot more to make that card. It's like include the card in your deck. It was very similar and very powerful. So, I think Meteorologist might be a bit of a sleeper, maybe. A couple of dead ringers. Okay, what I'll do is I'll try and talk about one card in each pack for a little bit, rather than talk about all of them, so we can just start shredding through these packs. Secret Plan, Hunter, 1 mana, discover a secret, pretty good. Obviously in mid-range Hunter, you can use it to discover like a more relevant secret for the matchup, or just more of the right secrets. There's not a huge pool of secrets, I don't think. There's maybe 7 or 8 or something. So you're probably pretty likely to find something good. And if you're not on the plan of playing like Dire Moles and other 1-drop beasts on turn 1, this and Tracking might make up like a pretty good 1-drop package. So, Secret Plan, looking forward to playing some of that. Okay. We'll talk about the Mechano Egg, because I think this card, in the reveal stream with Day 9, this was the card that kind of jumped out as being like real strong. Like, not only is it a mech, but the thing that it creates is a mech. Like, I think this is going to be one of those cards where maybe you can't possibly pack enough silencers, because unless you can silence this and kill it in the same turn, like, yeah, you can silence it to get rid of this Death Rattle, but then they still have a 0/5 mech on the board that they can start magnetizing onto. The fact that the 8/8 is a mech as well, the fact that this gets pulled off of Meat Wagon, and Meat Wagon's also a mech, like, it might just be this critical mass that, like, egg mechy paladin with the mechano egg as kind of a central feature could be pretty good. Could be pretty good. Also, I want to see it in golden. Show me the pretty cards. Alright, let's take a look at Storm Chaser. This card I pointed out as one of my least favourite cards, I think, because we play a lot of aggressive decks, and generally aggressive decks are pretty bad against Volcano, and this is just like another way to guarantee that our opponent almost always has the Volcano right on time. It's also got interesting aggressive applications, because you can use this to go get Bloodlust or the new Stormbringer card. So, you know, in like a token shaman or something like that, could be pretty good. But yeah, it could also be great in control as well. Puts a reasonably sized body on the board as well, which I think is a better plan than what usually happens with Shadowwalk Shaman, where they try and like put acolytes and mana tide totems out, so that you attack into those and then they Volcano. Anyway, Storm Chaser, interesting one. Ooh, we got some goldens. So we'll talk about the Nether Soul Buster. This card seems pretty cool. 3 mana 1/5. We've seen 3 mana 1/5s in Warlock be good before. And Battlecry get +1 attack for each damage your hero has taken this turn. So I think this is a little bit more like the bat, the Dusk Bat, where you're not going to play this on turn 3 very often, but you are going to play it in combination with a card that hopefully will open in the future, Crystallizer, or the new removal spell that deals you damage, or alongside like a Flame Imp or something like that. Honestly, if you play it alongside a Flame Imp, getting a 3 mana 3/5 is pretty good. It's pretty reasonable stats. But playing alongside a Crystallizer, oh my gosh, that's when this thing's going to get out of control. So yeah, I think it might not go in every zoo deck, but I think it will find a place in certain zoo decks. Also, that big 5 toughness. Ooh. Hellfire this, baby. Alright. Shrink Ray. Shrink Ray is really cool. Another tool for control paladins. Another card to combine with Consecrate or Wild Pyromancer, which is great. Also just a great card on its own, you know, if you imagine a lot of turns against like Heal Warlock, or even, you know, against Druid, where after they play Oakheart, they've got this massive board, you know, you can Shrink Ray it and ensure that next turn you're, you know, probably not dying, you're only taking 5 or something like that. So I think that's a really good part of the card. I'm looking to see more control paladins do some things. This booster pack animation is pretty cool. Alright, let's talk about Voltaic Burst. This card's pretty interesting. For 1 mana, we get 2 1/1 sparks with Rush. Those sparks are elementals, so we could see some interesting combinations with Earthen Might to buff them up. Obviously, Shaman's already a class that is great with these kind of effects, with these kind of token effects, because you know, you regularly play Flame Tongue as one of your better cards. Direwolf Alpha is also a fantastic card. So this, you know, we were talking about before about like a token shaman strategy. This card does everything that deck wants, except for maybe overloading you. I don't think that deck wants to necessarily overload too much of its mana, but I think this card's pretty good. Hopefully there will be some aggressive decks in the format and not just a lot of mid-range, which with all these mechs kind of seems like mid-range kind of strategies might be a little bit favoured. Okay, Omega Assembly. This is one of the more powerful cards. I think more obviously powerful cards in the set. For 1 mana, we discover a mech. If we have 10 mana, we get to keep all 3 cards instead. So mechs are a pretty wide spectrum. There's some really good ones, and then there's some really small ones. So when you're taking all 3, you know, it's not like you're going to get you know, 3/6 drops or something like that, you're probably going to get a good kind of bell curve of things. So, obviously, the other thing to consider is the warrior in-faction mechs are actually quite good. Prophecy, how you doing? G'day to yourself as well. We're cracking some packs, so we're right now just cracking some packs. I'll try and talk about one of the cards in the packs, and we'll try and shred through these nice and quick. But you know, Omega Assembly, I think, going to be a card we're going to see a lot of in the future, especially combined with Dr. Boom. Like the fact having all these mechs have rush, you know, it's going to be phenomenal, and it helps you get to that 10 mana. So glad we got a. Well, it's got 4 legendaries from 53 packs. Whoa, mate, crushing it. What did you get? Okay, let's talk about Cybertech Chip here, because Infest is one of my favorite cards, and this is very reminiscent of Infest, except it adds mechs rather than rather than beasts. Obviously, we talked about mechs being on a pretty wide spectrum, but you know, if there is some kind of maybe tokeny or aggressive mech deck, or just in general a hunter deck that wants an effect like this that gives a bit more grindy power, it could actually be pretty interesting. It puts another death rattle on all your minions, so maybe like a very different deck to the current, you know, death rattle. What Death Rattle Hunter's trying to do now. Think of it more in the context of like a zoo deck, where this is like your not very good answer to a Hellfire. You know, if they destroy your board, you still have some pieces to deploy. Guess people will pack way more silence. Is there any silence effects in Boomsday? I didn't see any additional silence effects, but I could have been wrong. But I think you are right. At least for the first little while, I think if you really wanted to climb the ladder rather than like test decks, I think packing a bunch of no fun police silencers is probably the way to go. Let's talk about Dendrologist. So it's a 2 mana 2/3, which is phenomenal stats. And if we control a Trent, we discover a spell, and Druid spells pretty good, turns out. Especially with all the choose one effects, we're usually going to get some kind of thing that we enjoy. So I think the Dendrologist is pretty good. We'll have to see if there's if the other Treant cards see play, or if that, you know, low to the ground token druid is more of a thing, or even if there exists. I don't know. I don't think the existing token druid deck wants this kind of effect. They're more concerned about skipping 2 mana and getting to 4, 5, 7, 10. Flark was free. Xerix Golden for 50 packs. Floop, Luna, Morrigan, Whizbang. Everyone's getting Whizbangs. Floop. The Floop's good. Floop's really good. Iron Beak and Spellbreaker is all the silence. Yeah, you have some in-faction silence as well. If you're priest. Look. Alright, let's talk Spider Bomb. This, I think, was one of the first cards spoiled, and also one of the first spoiled cards to kind of be like, hey, this is pretty legit. Even just without the magnetic, this death rattle is definitely a death rattle that you want in those later game death rattle hunters. Sorry, maybe the mid-range ones, because this isn't necessarily the best death rattle to get onto like the ooze. But still, we can play this on 4 mana and use it with a play dead as a removal spell. Even if we do find some way to get some mechs in there, start using it as a bit of a tempo play as well. Also interesting that if you do magnetic it onto, say, like a Harvest Golem, and then you play dead, it'll trigger all of the death rattles on it, so you know you'll vomit out a golem and destroy one of their minions. So definitely one of the stronger cards. We'll probably be playing into and around a lot of Spider Bombs as we go. Priest, Shaman have some, yeah, Earthshock. Earthshock's really good. Critters, Silence Battle Crease, still those two, yeah. So I wouldn't leave home without without a couple of spell breakers. You know me. I'm all about the spell breaker. Let's talk Mulch Muncher. I think this card wins the most fun card to say in the set. But yeah, Rush costs 1 less for each friendly Trent that has died this game. Treant. Could be pretty interesting. I like the fact that it costs 10, so we might see the Psych Melon come up, and it has a kind of interesting interaction with that. I like that it's like kind of a hippo. That's pretty cool. But yeah, well, this all depends. Like, if the Treant deck's good, this will be one of the better cards in it. If not, unfortunate. It'll be a terrible thing for Shaman to evolve into. A quick 2/6 is pretty rough. True. Alright. Let's talk Glowtron. So, this card is I think pretty busted. Not like overpowered, but I think this card is a card we're going to see a lot of for a long time. You know, we already play a whole bunch of Diamoles in a lot of decks. It's one of the premier 1-drops in the set, and it's also in a meta where you pretty frequently have to have 1-drops in order to compete on board. This one is a mech, which so far is a mostly positive thing to have, and it also has magnetics. So, like, in the early game, this is like a fantastic 1-drop, and in the late game, it's like a better Divine Spirit. Is it Divine Spirit, the one that gives +1/+2 for 1? Holy Spirit or whatever. It's like better than that, so we can turn this body into like a little bit of extra damage, a little bit more survivability, especially if mechs like the one that shoots everything for 1, these kind of like smaller bodied mechs, if they become a thing that's necessary in the meta, cards like Glowtron can help buff them up. So really strong card, really a really great design. I think it's not too much more powerful than existing 1-drops to like push them out of the format. Well, we'll go with the Annoyer module. We'll keep going on this this mech Paladin mech string. So it's 4 cost 2/4 mech, magnetic, divine shield, and taunt. So on its own, this is pretty reasonable. You know, like, isn't there the 3-drop one that's a 2/4 with taunt, but it only gains divine shield if it's the only minion on the board? Like, this card is just better than that. Oh no, that one's a 3-drop, so I guess it's a little bit worse. But the fact that you can magnetic this onto anything, like if you have, you know, a Glowtron on the board, or even just any 1/1, making it a 3-power with Divine Shield, you get to trade in, you've got this bigger taunt minion, like, especially if you put this on a Glowtron, it's 7 toughness. Let alone if you have the Divine Shield on there, so it's pretty big. It's going to make things really hard to bash through, and I think this is going to be one of the key offenders for, like, did you have the silence? No? Well, unfortunately you are wrecked, so. Alright, did I buy 50 plus 80? I did! Plus we got about 4,200 gold ready to fire into the pot. Extra Arms is definitely my one of my favorite cards in the set, just from like a flavor idea. Could be pretty interesting with like with the Radiant Elementals, reducing the cost. Play a bunch of extra arms, but I think with all the stuff in the set that's like, if you enchanted this creature with an effect, do a thing, I think the extra arms is one of the worst cards in that deck. Alright, let's go Pogo Hopper. So this is a pretty interesting one. I don't know if so it's 2 mana 1/1 +2/+2 for each other Pogo Hopper you've played this game. Feels like, you know, you want to just be playing the quest shell, but I don't know if you want to play the quest shell and play this, like if that gives the deck another dynamic, or if you just want to be playing Pogo Hopper, or if you just want to be playing quest. I think that will be the real interesting part of the experimentation with this deck. Like, maybe it just becomes the case where like you know you play both because you can go for one, like you can go for the pogo hopper, and then if they manage to like weather the storm of pogo hoppers, then your backup plan is the quest. Because obviously if you do the quest first, then I don't think it works out very well for you. What were the 3 free legendaries? We got Dr. Boom for logging in. We got a Golden Storm Bringer, the Shaman legendary spell. And we got a golden Whizbang, which we're not too happy about. Ooh. Sure, let's talk Omega Defender. This was also one of the early spoiled cards, I think. 4 mana, 2/6 taunt. Battlecry, if you have 10 mana, Crystals gain plus 10 attack. This card is sick. I think it's sick. Like, yeah, already you have a lot of druids that are trying to use Oaken Summons. This is a totally fine thing to flip off an Oaken Summons, like just as a 2/6. And it's also in a deck that pretty regularly gets to 10 mana. It's huge. Like, being able to play a 4 mana 10/6, oh my gosh. That can really help you turn the corner quite fast. As opposed to trying to like grind your opponent out with certain kinds of strategies. So I really like Omega Defender. Really like it. Congrats. Congrats? Yeah, that's how I feel about the Whizbang. Won't it be a 5/5 and get the Battlecry buff on top of it? I don't think so. I think it basically just like will come in, get the buff, and then be a 4/4. That's right. They're all 4/4s now. They nerfed the quest again. Okay. Let's move on from here. Start bashing through them. Cool. Alright. Astral Rift. 2 mana. Add 2 random minions to your hand. I think this is a pretty fun Mimi card. But who knows? Maybe there'll be just some like I think this will definitely go into our wild deck. We'll put some leyline manipulators in there and just try to like play as many Astral Rifts and unstable portals and Cabalist Tomes as possible. Didn't realize it got nerfed. Yeah, it got nerfed twice, I believe. Research Project. This card's pretty cool. I hope that it sees play because I think it's going to be really good against a lot of those greedy druids. We can force them to burn a whole bunch more cards. I think that's kind of the name of the game as well. And if they're going to be using Biology Project, there could be some big spell mage builds or just some like regular mage builds out there that could aim to capitalize on it. Off getting the extra mana, being able to perform some combos a bit quicker, especially ones that maybe play around whatever druids are trying to do at the time. So in Research Project's really cool, help disrupt those control decks. Ooh, what do we got? Flark's Boomzooka. So it's an 8 mana hunter spell. Summon 3 minions from your deck. They attack enemy minions, then die. I think this card is really sick. Obviously, in the existing Death Rattle builds, we can either you're using this and it's ripping out those big, like Charged Devil's Oars and things like that, or it's ripping out cards that have Death Rattles. You know, even pulling a cube from the deck. The cube is a nice body. Should trade into something. But you know, if you're pulling out Spider Bombs, all of a sudden your opponent's board's just getting completely wiped out. Yeah, but I think this is going to be a really key role player in that style of deck. I don't know how much it requires the deck to change, but yeah, seems like a pretty good card. Great with Savannah High mains as well. So yeah, could even be like the curve topper or something on in a mid-range hunter list, especially one with a secret package where you don't have to play so many minions. You can be a bit more picky. Let's talk landscaping. So then this card is this. I think if any card makes the Treant deck really good, I think this is the one. Like, obviously Soul of the Forest is fantastic, but I think this card is just like such good value. You're getting such good stats for the mana that you're spending. Obviously a really great arena card, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe my idea of good cards is a bit too fair. Like, all I do is look at this and I'm like, oh, it's so cool, I can do this, and then Defender of Argus, or I can like try and build a wider board by playing the Chain Gang or something like that. Maybe I should be thinking of doing more busted things. Okay, we got the Seaphorium Bomber. So this is reminiscent of Iron Juggernaut. 5 mana, 5/5. Battlecry, shuffle a bomb into your opponent's deck. When drawn, it explodes for 5 damage. So I kind of like this card, especially with all of the like shuffle into opponent's deck shenanigans. I think that could be pretty cool, where you can like shuffle some extra bombs and stuff in there. It could also be used, like, I kind of wish it was common or rare, because we could actually experiment with this in budget decks as kind of like a Leroy replacement in a way, or like a little bit of extra reach, especially with a lot of decks out there like Shutterwalk that do tend to draw a lot of cards, spend a lot of time drawing, and try and have the healing rain at just the right time. Like, avoid playing it as much as possible. And maybe if you get a Seaphorium Bomber in there, it could get them into like panic mode a bit earlier, or it could help you discover lethal. Who knows? But really interesting card. Sure. Dream Petal Florist. End of your turn, reduce cost of a random minion in your hand by 7. I'm sure at some point there'll be some like combo build with this where like it's like, you know, a very convoluted thing, and it's like you have to have the Dream Petal Florist land a cost reduction on this specific minion, like Mechathun or something, and then you could play this combination of cards and your opponent's dead. I think if this card, like, I think if this card sticks in play for a couple of turns, especially in some, like in some Druid decks where like you're playing the Oakheart package, and if you're playing like the Oakheart package, you often draw a bunch of the big clunky pieces. I don't know if playing this helps you, but like that deck doesn't have a lot of turn 7 plays, so it could help. You know, you get a cost reduction on like a Dragon Hatcher, that's pretty sick. You get a cost reduction on a Sleepy Dragon, help stabilize the board. You can play this in the same turn as the thing that doubles your end of turn effects. Yeah, actually, in fact, that you know, the Druid deck, if you're playing Dragon Hatcher, you're probably already playing Drakari Enchanter, so this could be a pretty interesting introduction into that deck. Good spot. End of turn deck. Oh my gosh, we're cracking them. Harbinger, Celestia. So I think this was one that like there was a lot of questions about it, where people were not sure if it copies a thing, does it retain stealth? It certainly doesn't retain its own ability. I don't know. We have to wait and see how many Fireflies keep seeing play, because I can already feel it deep within my heart that this thing is going to transform into a Firefly very often. With big stats otherwise. Maybe if oof, foil Glowtron. Ooh, it's a nice one. Talk quickly about Crystology. I'm not too sure how I feel about this card. Like, feels like by the time you get to turn 3, like, there's not a lot of 1-attack minions you want to be playing. I'm sure there's a couple. Like, even the Legendary is pretty cool in getting to the later game, but I can't think of many 1-attack minions that we really want to have a really high impact, if that makes sense. So, could magnet them into a 2/6. What, the Glowtron? Put two of them together. Ha! If you get both of those Pally 1-3 max, yeah. Actually, I guess Christology lets you get the this guy, the Bronze Gatekeeper, and the there's another 3 mana. Oh no, there's the 2 mana the guy with the arm, the upgradable bot or whatever. So maybe there is enough 1-drops, but you know, it's kind of like the thing that lets you ice fishing, the draw 2 Murlocs, kind of like that. But yeah, let's talk Bronze Gatekeeper. This card is sick. Like, we're already in a format where like we want effects like Tar Creeper and Stonehill Defender, like where the stats on those minions is actually really, really good. And having this be able to like throw taunt on maybe a Death Rattle minion, so they have to attack into that if they want to get through, or just being able to throw it on like a 1 or 2 drop to get a little bit of extra damage in there, like Pseudo Rush. So it's pretty interesting. Bronze Gatekeeper does so much work. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it'll be one of those glue cards for a lot of those mech decks. He used to be in Hunter, so we can draw those 4/4 balls. 2 Tar Creepers. Oh, it draws Tar Creeper. You're totally right. Definitely missed that. Ooh. Whenever you... So, the Augmented Elec is what I was talking about when we were talking about those shuffle shenanigans. 3 mana 3/4. Awesome stats. Is a beast as well. But yeah, right now is a positive thing. Whenever you shuffle a card into a deck, shuffle an extra copy. If our Elec's golden, does it shuffle a golden copy? Augmented Elec shenanigans halfway there, yeah. So I think, like, obviously this with the Seaphorian Bomber, there's a lot of rogue cards that shuffle things into your deck, whether that's the new one that shuffles 10 cards into your deck, or even existing cards like Feldorei Strider. You get an extra Spider into the deck, which is pretty sick. And you can curve 3 into Feldorei Strider. So I don't know if the card's too fair, but it has a nice body, so I hope that it sees play. I hope that it sees competitive play, but outside of that, yeah, Dire Frenzy, it's even a beast, so we can Dire Frenzy on itself, shuffle 4 copies in, play them all, play another Dire Frenzy, shuffle 10 copies into our deck. My gosh. Living the dream! Okay. Weapons Project. This is one of my favorite cards. One of my favorite cards from the set. It's great at controlling the board early on. We get that 2/3 weapon. Yes, our opponent gets a 2/3 weapon, and it's probably going to hit our face with it to negate that armor. But 2 mana for a 2/3 weapon, that's Stormforged Axe. We don't even have to overload ourselves. And also, we're giving our opponent a weapon when we are unlikely to have anything that they can attack into. And then, as Prophecy has pointed out in the chat, we can play a bunch of weapon removal in our deck and know that they're going to have targets for it. You know, we can always chuck if we're playing odd, not odd, if we're playing even, we can play Acidic Swamp Ooze. If we're playing regular Warrior, we can play the Corrosive Ooze and Harrison. Harrison's pretty sweet. Get for a 7 mana, gain 6 armor. Draw 3 cards. Pretty good. The weapon is an awesome buzzsaw thing too. That's right. It's like the thing that's on the actual robot in the picture. It's like a saw arm. It's pretty dope. So yeah, I'm looking forward to casting a whole bunch of weapons projects. Let's keep moving. We got Omega Agent. So this, I think, was a couple of people's picks as one of the more powerful cards in the set. Obviously, there's a lot of Warlock decks that can go pretty late. And I guess, I don't know, in some ways you would compare this to Blood Reaver Gul'dan because it is a 10 mana play. But yeah, Omega Agent seems pretty strong with a lot of the hand buff cards in Warlock. You know, you can give this thing +2/+2 with Power Infusion or whatever. It becomes a 6/7, and if you ever play it on 10 mana, you get 3 6/7s. You could even play 2 of them in the same turn, which is just a ludicrous amount of stats. So I think this card's pretty interesting, though it does come with the opportunity cost that, you know, there are a lot of excellent 5 mana Warlock cards. This isn't a demon. And on 5 mana, just playing a 4/5, especially in an aggressive deck, not good enough. Not good enough. So it does come with some opportunity cost. Well, we opened 2 of them, so we'll talk about Topsy Turvy. This is fantastic. This is... I'm really looking forward to doing the Soul Infusion. That's the one. Thank you, Prophecy. I'm really looking forward to playing the budget Inner Fire Priest, because Topsy Turvy now gives us an additional copy of Inner Fire, and we might even end up replacing, like, we might go 2 Topsy Turvy, 1 Inner Fire or something like that. But this card's fantastic. It's always cost 0, so we don't have to play a Radiant Elemental to reduce Inner Fire's cost down to 1, so it gives us more burst potential. We can potentially go off with less mana. The other thing that it does is, hopefully we open a test subject, we can show you that. It might have some like interesting test subject loops that we can do with Topsy Turvy. Great with Lyra as well. So yeah, really looking forward to playing with this sweet card. Also great at flipping your opponent's Tar Creepers and bashing through. Ooh, another epic weaponized Pinata. This card's very fun. 4 mana 4/3 mech, so a bit low on the stats. But Death Rattle, add a random legendary minion to your hand. So obviously there are a lot of like legendary minions. There's quite a lot of different ones. There's low cost ones, high cost ones. I think in general they're probably going to be pretty. They're generally going to be expensive. But it's also a mech, so maybe if there's a deck out there, a mech deck that wants to be really grindy and needs like as much value as possible, they'll consider this. But I think there's existing options that are maybe a little bit better. Even like Stonehill is arguably like just as good. Sure, we've got a bunch of different ones. What's this? Replicating Menace. It's a 4 mana 3/1 with Magnetic. Death Rattle, summon 3 1/1 Microbots. Okay. Nightbot is amped up today. I think it's more that it's usually set on a 15-minute thing with a minimum amount of like chats in between. And I don't know, y'all are being fairly active, so it'll pump it out a little bit. But I can definitely tone it down. Nightbot is a mech. Yeah, that's why. It's waiting for the Magnetic. Waiting for us to slam a Replicating Menace onto him. But this seems pretty cool. 4 mana might be a bit too much, but I think this Death Rattle is going to be really important. If a lot of these mech decks are trying to play around certain board clears, having these kind of Death Rattles is really important. Also, having the Death Rattle summon Microbots, which presumably are more mechs, I think that's really important as well, because it means you can immediately start suiting up these Microbots. Like, imagine a situation where you curve like 1, 2, 3, and on 4 you magnetic this onto something. Your opponent, has a Hellfire, it kills a bunch of things, unfortunate, but you get those Microbots, then turn 5, boom, War Gear onto one of those bots. It's a 6/6, it's attacking, it's pretty spicy. So just that resilience. Resilience is often the name of the game when it comes to certain aggressive strategies. So what's the next legendary we're going to crack, team? Ooh, test subject. Okay, so this is what I was talking about before with Topsy Turvy and stuff. So 1 mana 0/2, the Death Rattles to return any spells cast on this minion to your hand. So kind of similar to Primal Fin Champion. Obviously this has 0 attack, which is maybe better. Basically what you can do with this is you can cast one of the cast a bunch of spells on it. Things like Power Word Shield are going to be fantastic. You know, with a Radiant Elemental in play, it's free. And we can copy it with like Vivid Nightmare or something like that. Then we can use cards like Topsy Turvy or Shadow Word Horror to kill our own. Topsy Turvy is the best because it returns back to your hand. Even Shadow Word Pain. But we can use those to kill our own test subjects, return all the spells to our hand. And particularly if we created a copy of the test subject, we can then create another copy of the existing copy, cast another Vivid Nightmare, etc., etc., and actually like start profiting cards or mana or something like that. So I think there's definitely many combos to be had with the test subject. The next legendary will be Subject 9, the Solarium. Okay. Subject 9. I think you might be right about Subject 9. Ooh, Dynamatic. This when I was saying that a lot of the warrior mechs are really good when we're talking about a Mega Assembly, this is one of the reasons why I think they're really good. Dynamatic's 5 mana 3/4 mech. Battlecry deal 5 damage randomly split amongst all minions except mechs. So obviously it's pretty bad in like a mech mirror, but you can even take advantage of that by playing cards like Acolyte of Pain or the Devil's Oar Egg, cards like those where you want to destroy them. Works quite well with a lot of enrage cards, and still leaves behind a body that you can magnetize onto. So pretty good, especially with like Dr. Boom in faction, getting a rush. Could be pretty interesting. But obviously, if everyone's on that mech plan, then it ain't so good. Subject 9. The EMP operative. So this is our hate bear for the set for you gatherers out there. 5 mana 3/3 Battlecry Destroyer mech. So I guess this is kind of the if you run out of silencers to play, you probably want to start playing EMP operatives instead, or in addition to rather. Pretty good against this card, the War Gear, and all the other just pure stat buffs. Obviously, it's not great against the Death Rattle ones. You're still going to trigger those, but yeah, I think this card's definitely going to be on the radar for quite a while. Interesting artwork. It doesn't look like it fits the aesthetic, but there we go. Golden Dead Ringer. Hooray. Okay, what do we got? Blight Nozzle Crawler, 4 mana 2/4 mech. Death Rattle Summon, a 1/1 ooze with Poisonous and Rush. So the fact that it has Poisonous and Rush is really interesting. You can attack this into something, and the turn that it dies, you can do something with the Poisonous minion. So it's kind of a built-in 2-for-1. Which legend do I hope to open the most? Which legend do I hope to open the most? I think it was probably Dr. Boom. Boom, Solarium. I think I only want the Solarium because I know I'll end up having to craft one. Floop. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too so big on Floop because I think we played a lot of Druid and I'm kind of over it. But I think it was Dr. Boom. So maybe we'll get a golden one. That'll be gas. Yeah, Blight Nozzle Crawler could do something interesting. I don't think Rogue is the mechiest of the factions, but maybe the Crawler will be something. Sure. Sweet Electro. Here we go. The upgradable frame bot. So this card's pretty sweet. Also. So not only is it a 1/5, which is a great body for magnetizing onto, but also it's a really high toughness minion for our Inner Fire decks. So we might look at doing something mechy in Inner Fire as well. So really keen to get some play with that, and it might work out that just like we play 1 mana 1/3s because they're good. Maybe 2 mana 1/5s are also pretty good. Coin out the 1/5, then magnetic something onto it. Punish Sue. Yeah, exactly. You know, even if you just curve that into the taunt, the 3 mana 1/5 taunt, like that's a 2/10 your opponent has to get through. So they better have the silence. Here's that soul infusion we were talking about. Really interesting kind of design here. Give the leftmost minion in your hand +2/+2. So really, you're going to have to make sure that you you're playing bless. Look at those bless RNGs. You got to make sure that you're managing your hand position and things like that. Might mean that we see less cards like Soulfire in Warlock, especially because we want to inherently have more minions. So I think this card is going to be a real big role player in a lot of those Zoo decks, but maybe we'll find out that like doing these kinds of things is just not worth it in a way. Like maybe it's too much shenaniganry and we need to be focusing on getting our opponent dead as soon as possible. More legendaries, give the people what they want. Yeah, Blizz. Come on. Have you opened Mechacthulhu yet? No, we haven't opened Mechacthune. I kind of don't... I don't know. I don't want to, because if I do, then it means we have to make a deck with it. Like I saw people have already been playing with like the card that reduces the cost of mechs, reduce the cost of Mechacthune to 8, play Bloodbloom, play Mechacthune, then Cataclysm with no cards in library, and you win. I'm sure that was a very expected result. We'll talk about unexpected results though. This card's pretty interesting. I think if the spell damage deck does do anything, this will be one of the more powerful cards in it, but I just, with all of these mechs running around, it just feels like you're never ever landing a spell damage minion and keeping it on the board, or like you can't reliably do that. And this card's too fair for just like the base effect, like 4 mana for 2/2 cost minions. That's the going rate. So I think you're almost always going to have to combine this with like the 2 mana elemental that gives your next one +2 spell damage and stuff. So, and is that a good 6 mana play? I guess it's alright. Is it a good 6 mana play that Mage wants to make though? That's the question. Get those stay waves in chat. Ooh! I'm sorry friends, it was not Project 9, it was not the Solarium, it is Dr. Morrigan. So, this is still a pretty interesting card though. 8 mana 5/5 Death Rattle, swap this with a minion from your deck. So, if you think about a lot of the controlling kind of Warlock style decks, you do still have a lot of really huge minions in that. Like this thing can flip out a Lich King, this thing can flip out even a Mountain Giant or something like that. But one of the most important things is that the Morrigan goes back into your deck. So the next time you play it, it's going to do the same. It's going to potentially do the same thing. So it actually gives you quite a lot of like throughput, if that makes sense. Also, if you play the Banker, the Baleful Banker, shuffle another Dr. Morrigan into your deck, like you can get. Unfortunately, it means you have to play Baleful Banker, which is a terrible card to pull off Dr. Morrigan. But it means you can potentially have these like loops where your opponent really can't grind through your infinite 5/5s. Someone tried the infinite Dr. Morrigan combo and it just stopped twice in the same game with a Knife Juggler. How do you keep them dying? How do you keep the Dr. Morrigans dying? Swap one for another copy, but it's a Death Rattle. Yeah, so if I have a Knife Juggler in play, and I play Dr. Morrigan, it'll trigger the Knife Juggler. Oh, you have to have Spirit, like Umbra in play? Spirit Singer Umbra with Dr. Morrigan? With a Knife Juggler in play? So you have to have like a Baleful Banker in the deck, draw it, draw the Morrigan, play them both on the same turn, and then not draw the other Morrigan. Also, you've already drawn your Spirit Singer Umbra and Knife Juggler. And then you... Yeah, it's quite convoluted, but... So what? It just stopped twice in the same game. Like, it just did not continue. That's so funny. But yeah, I think this is a pretty fun card. Obviously, there's existing shenanigans. Alright. Couple of interesting ones here. Astromancer. I think this card could be pretty strong. 7 mana 5/5. Like, the main thing is we've seen this kind of effect before with Spiteful Summoner, and Astromancer doesn't really require you to change your strategy very much. It doesn't require you to cut spells from your deck or anything like that. It just requires you to be playing like a controlling mage style. If you're playing this with, I mean, 7 mana 5/5, so even if you're playing this with like 3 cards in hand, you're still probably getting like really good value worth of stats out of your 7 mana play. And if you ever play it with, you know, 5, 6, 7, imagine playing this with 8 cards in hand, something at 8 cost. Whew, spicy. It's also a Battle Cry. Yeah, Astromancer I think is going to be a really, really key role player in the coming sets. Okay, let's keep bashing through. It just stopped after a few rounds. That's weird. Oh, I'm sure that'll be like patched in like 2 days or something. Ooh. Another Omega Defender. Happy to have that. These Cloakscale Chemists do. 2 mana, 1/2 Stealth Divine Shield. That's pretty interesting. So, good with buffs. Good potentially if, you know, you are in a deck that wants to play a buff and not have your minion get hit by an odd rogue, get daggered down. It's kind of interesting. Does that rogue card that gives +2/+2 to stealth minions, does that card still exist in standard? Don't think it does. Interesting one. Next legendary is Zerek. No, I want the next one to be Solarium. Something good. I guess Zerek's like Ziliax. Ziliax is one that would definitely want. The legendary mech man. And Coppertail Imposter. This card also really good. We were talking about the other stealth guy. This card is really important if we if there are a lot of decks that are controlling the board, or decks that are better at controlling the board than us, but we still want to do those magnetic shenanigans. This can ensure that unless our opponent has a board clear, we can play this, then next turn we can maybe get like a Replicating Menace on it, or a War Gear that's on curve. We could even put a Taunto Pronto on this, lock down things. So I think this is really interesting. Really, really interesting. Can help kind of break those situations where you feel like, you know, it's a similar mirror, like we're both playing mech decks and whoever's on the play generally wins. Stargazer Luna to go with that Pocket Galaxy, please. That's true. Those cards do go together quite well, right? Ooh. Powered Replicate. 5 mana, choose a friendly minion, summon a 5/5 copy of it. So I think this I love this artwork as well, where it's like it's this kind of normal goblin, but then the two goblins in the tubes are like super jacked. It's like this is the manager and this is the tag team. But yeah, I think this is kind of interesting. It's probably mostly going to be a combo card. I think this is one of those, like, this card costs way too much to be played in a fair situation. So look forward to many power word replicate shenanigans, especially with the Priest Legendary. More arms. More arms, please. Let's talk about Lab Recruiter. We've opened a bunch of these, but this is a pretty interesting card. 2 mana 3/2, a great stat line. Battlecry, shuffle 3 copies of a friendly minion into our deck. So we can use this to shuffle more Pogo Hoppers into our deck, which is really interesting. In Wild, you can use this to shuffle Patches back into your deck. So you can go turn 1 Pirate, summon a Patches, turn 2 Lab Recruiter, shuffle 3 Patches back in, next turn play another Pirate, so 3 Patches come out. So really interesting there. And of course going to be part of like a lot of weird combos where we have to shuffle a bunch of Seaphorium bombers into our deck, but also we play the Elec, so we get to shuffle more into our deck and more bombs into our opponent's deck. Who knows? Who knows? Also just very hard to fatigue your opponent out if they have, like, they can wait until they have both of these in their hand and they just play one, play the other, shuffle 3 copies of that in, and then they draw 2, and then they can just do the same thing, so you can essentially never fatigue them, and they just get infinite 3/2s. Definitely one of the stronger cards in the set. Golden Landscape. Ooh, Doubling Imp in the same pack as a Soul Infusion as well. This is kind of the one of the big combos that I think those this kind of deck is want to do. So either buffing up a Doubling Imp or buffing up a Saronite Chain Gang, and the deck was already playing Chain Gang. Also goes really well with Keleseth. You know, we can have 3/3 imps, then we can make them 5/5, and then 3 mana summon 2 5/5 imps, 3 mana 10/10s. Oof. That's power. Real power. Soul Infusion, eh? Ooh. I was actually talking a little bit about Piloted Reaper the other day, where I think this card could actually be pretty interesting in some decks, especially like Even Warlock, where you have a lot of like, unfortunately that deck plays Doomsayer, so maybe not the best, but like, you know, if this card's dropping out cards like Vulgar Homunculus, or, you know, you could try and do stuff with Millhouse or something, it's like, it's a 4 mana commitment that's going to net you kind of 6 mana worth of cards. Like, obviously 4 mana for a 4/3 is not great stats, but generally your 2 drops are kind of overstatted, so it could be a good way to, you know, like trade into decks that have things to trade into, you know, get some beats down, and then also you're still going to end up with a 2-drop the majority of the time, because that deck does play a lot of 2-drops. So I think this card could be pretty interesting in like even Warlock, even Shaman, decks like that, where you can get a bit more bang for your buck, for your mana, especially even if you have so many cards. All right. So I guess we'll talk about Holomancer. Oh yeah, this card, right. 5 mana 3/3. After your opponent plays a minion, summon a 1/1 copy of it. So one of the interesting things with this card is that if you're ahead and against a minion-based deck, this card's quite good. You know, especially if your opponent's going to rely on certain death rattle effects to try and pull them out of the game. Like, this card's pretty good against like Devil's or Egg, pretty good against cube stuff. Yeah, like this, it's a pretty win more card though. Like, in a lot of decks for 5 mana, you'd rather be playing like a Cobalt Scalebane or something like that. Like that card is a bit more like get 'em dead. Whereas this is like, haha, I controlled the board, I'm playing this, and now like that could just be put your opponent in an unwinnable situation. But also they could just like, not be a minion strategy, and this card's very bad against Blizzard and Flame Strike and Hellfire and stuff. So, but an interesting one there. Interesting one. Ooh, Golden Xerath. Come on, game. Give me the good stuff. Pretty legendary light, hey. At least for a little while. Ooh, there we go. Floop's Glorious Gloop. This is Flubber, right? So 1 mana spell. Whenever a minion dies this turn, gain 1 mana crystal this turn only. So this allows us, if we have a board of Treants or a board of Wisps that we've made with Whispering Woods, we can get a big turn where we use, maybe we trade like 3 minions, and then this is like the old Innovate. We profit 2 mana, which is definitely worth it. I mean, that card got nerfed for a reason. But I think there's definitely going to be situations where this card just totally, like, allows you to have some ridiculous turn in the mid-game. Part of me thinks that it's going to be better in the more low-to-the-ground token druids rather than the token druids we've been seeing a lot of lately, which, still try and play Ultimate Infestation and go quite high. But, yeah, we'll see where this one falls. It might be too much shenaniganry to do anything really. Like, it might be asking too much of you to make it work. Necromechanic, your Death Rattle is triggered twice. Certainly in the right class. Hunter, Death Rattle Hunter is still phenomenal. This has a really nice body as well. So I think if it gets to the point where maybe there's like too many silences in the meta, the fact that this has a nice body as well as Cube having a really nice body, I think that's I think that might give that deck a little bit more resilience as well. But yeah, this card's phenomenal. Goes really well with that the cannon that we opened before, the Flux Boom cannon or whatever. You can shoot a bunch of minions into play. When they die, they get their death rattle. I liked the on the reveal stream they had the abominable bowman in that deck. I think that's really good with the Flux cannon. Okay, Prismatic Lens. This is one of my favorite cards in the set. Draw a minion and a spell from your deck and swap their costs. So, I mean, we're already playing kind of this Prismatic Lens, so maybe we want a situation where we're playing like low cost spells and high-ish cost minions. Especially because effects like Equality are kind of binary in a way, in that it's like when you want the effect, you want it, and it almost doesn't matter how much mana it costs. Like, it could cost 10 or 2. We really want to play it because we need that board clear. And then you could be swapping like a Lich King cost with it or something like that, or a Ysera. So you have this 8 or 9 mana Equality now, but you also have a 2 mana Lich King, 2 mana Ysera. So, very interesting card. It's also like, it's drawing you 2 cards as well, which is not is not the worst thing. Not the worst thing in the world. But I think maybe beyond the cost reduction side is where a lot of people will be looking, in that they won't maybe be looking to do fair things like swapping Equalities and Lich Kings. They'll be looking to do unfair things like swapping, I don't know, Yogg Sarons and Secrets or something. Or, Yeah, I don't know. Use your mind. Hit me up with your best prismatic lens combo. What are you doing in your early game with a card like this? I mean, you can still play a pretty regular early game, right? Like, you can play early game spells with late game minions. There's also, in Wild, you could be using this to draw your the thing that summons all your Murlocs and swap the cost with the Murloc. It's pretty spicy.
Golden Common.
But yeah, it's also like a 4-mana draw spell and like doesn't create any immediate pressure on board unless, you know, you're playing it for 5 mana and swapping cost with a secret or something. Okay, a couple of interesting ones here. We'll talk about Thunderhead first. 4 mana 3/5 is pretty good stats. It's an elemental, which is a positive thing, especially a 4-drop elemental in Shaman means you curve into the Servant of Kalamos pretty well. And whenever you play a card with Overload, summon 2 1/1 Sparks with Rush. So that's any card with Overload. So, you know, we could see turns where you play this on 4 and then you zap something. Then you get the 2 Sparks, and all of a sudden you can start trading into something with 4 toughness. It comes in little chunks as well, so there's granularity to it. So if you have, if they have quite a wide board of smaller minions, like say Odd Paladin, you know, we can zap the War Leader and send the 2 Sparks into some Silverhand recruits. So I think Thunderhead is really quite cool. Even with like Lightning Storm, like you can clear a bunch and then do that. Like if you miss any like 50/50s on like a 3 health minion, you can use the Sparks to get in there. So I think Thunderhead's really good, and I'm hoping that there is that token shaman we were talking about before. Oh, Fuzz, how we doing? Good to see you in the chat. Best pulls so far? Well, we got, just for logging in, we got Dr. Boom, and we got a golden Stormbringer and a golden... we got a golden Whizbang, which we're not too happy about. But so far we've gotten the Golden Dynamatic. We got a... What do we get? The Floop, the legendary Druid spell. We got the Warlock legendary, Dr. Morrigan. We got the... What did we open up early? We got the Pocket Galaxy from the first pack. What else? Definitely something we're missing. Does Golden Whizbang make an entirely golden pre-made deck though? Yes it does. How you doing, Ruby? Good to see you popping by. Yes, the Golden Whizbang does give you a golden deck. Which I guess is pretty cool, but also not. Okay, I'll talk about a couple of cards here. The Eternium Rover, like we were talking about with the Paladin 1/3 mech. I think this one's quite good as well, especially as like an early drop that you want to play it as kind of like a concession to there being a lot of early game decks in the format. It's also a mech, so your opponent may commit more to killing it than what they usually would because they're scared of it getting buffed up, especially with like the taunt thing. Like imagine making this a 2/8 with taunt. Like every time your opponent bashes in, you gain 2 armor as well. It's huge. So I think this card's really quite important. And the other card is Arcane Dynamo, 6 mana 3/4 Battlecry, discover a spell that costs 5 or more. I think this will be a really class dependent one. Like there were times where Ivory Knight was so good in Paladin, not just because of the healing, but because you were so likely to discover really high impact spells, And sometimes it's been worse because there's just like, there's too many secrets in the pool or something like that. But like, you know, Arcane Dynamo, I'm sure there's going to be several classes where their pool of 5 spells that cost 5 or more is maybe only 5 spells, which means you're so likely to find the exact spell you need. Like in the case of Paladin, right now, what you'd have: Shrink Ray, Lay on Hands, Avenging Wrath, Dino Size. What else? What are the Paladin spells that cost 5 or more? Blessed Champion, the one that doubles their attack. Like there's not too many. So if you're trying to play Arcane Dynamo to rip a Lay on Hands pretty consistently, or like let's just say you're trying to get a control element really consistently, well, Arcane Dynamo can give you access to Shrink Ray and Lay on Hands, which is really good. Puts a body on the board that your opponent might have to respect if they think you got a Dino Size. Like, I think this card's pretty interesting, but very, very class dependent. Obviously, that was just off the top of our head. I could be forgetting about a dozen Paladin spells that cost 5. So really, really interesting. Call to Arms. That one not so good. But we get to discover. Is that the second Golden Mulch Muncher? Okay, come on. Give us the Solarium. Should have talked about that security robot. Maybe we'll open another one. So are we going to hit a legendary in these next 20 or so packs? What are we thinking? How many legendaries are we going to hit in the last 20 packs? Okay, so 20 packs left. I do have another 4,000 gold, so we might end up buying some more, but are we going to hit a legendary in these 20 packs? So I'm looking for yeses, nos. I'm looking for which legendary it is. I'm also looking for which pack it is in. Get your votes in now. Basil's going to go with 1. Okay, so we are going to get a legendary. Anyone think we're going to get more than 1 legendary? And which pack is it going to be in? Pack number 4. So pack number 4 that we open. So with this pack will be number 1, not number 20. One more legendary, second last pack. Pack 10, Hunter Spell. We already opened the Hunter Spell. We can't open it again. That was one we missed. I'm sorry I didn't tell you, Fuzz. We did open a Flux Boom Cannon. But we could open a golden one, I guess. Pack number 4 has our Luna. Okay. We only have four packs left. Okay, so the 16th pack. Okay, let's get cracking. Feel free to keep your guesses coming in. Nothing here. Second last pack. Everyone's going for those last packs. No faith. No faith. Feel free to have another crack first. Give you a bit of time. So, it's not this Brainstormer. It's a card that I think is actually pretty good, but we didn't talk about it. 3 mana, 3/1, Battlecry, +1 health for each spell in your hand. So, kind of similar to Twilight Drake. You know, wants us to have a big hand, but this wants us to also have a big hand full of spells. But, you know, if you imagine we have 4 spells in our hand, which is, I guess, not unreasonable. Particularly if you were in, like, Warlock or something. Even Mage. You know, having 4 spells means you get a 3 mana, 3/5, which is a great rate. Still pack 10, but it's the Rogue spell. Okay. the unstable crystal. But yeah, maybe this brainstorm will be the early game minion of choice for some of those later game spell mages and stuff. No one guessed in the first 10 packs. Well, I'm gonna say the ninth one, the ninth pack. It's gonna have that legendary. It's gonna have Solarium as well. This is the card we were talking about before, the Juicy Psych Melon. So, I don't want to be disappointed too early. That's fair enough. So the Juicy Psych Melon, 4 cost spell. Draw a 7, 8, 9, and 10 cost minion from your deck. So, I think in the decks that, like the Druid decks that are already doing a lot of really powerful late game things, they don't really need this. They're already drawing enough cards. Like, they want to resolve an ultimate infestation anyway. But I'm really interested to see what this looks like if the 7 cost minion we play is Corridor Creeper, if the 10 cost is the Mulch Muncher. You know, if we can find other cards that kind of cheat the mana cost thing, that'll be really interesting. Alright, so the next one's my pack. Oh, we were one off. One off. Oh, it was Subject 9. Whoever guessed that the next one was Subject 9, you were so close. So close. I guess we should probably talk about Subject 9 a little bit. 5 mana 4/4 beast, draws 5 secrets from your deck. Obviously really probably only going to see playing Hunter. As that's a deck that wants to play a bunch of secrets and hit them all because it wants to play its Spellstone. And also Hunter has a lot of secrets that don't see a lot of play, a lot of meta play, and aren't played around. So, you know, you imagine you could have a setup where you've got like 2 wandering monsters, and then maybe you have like 1 explosive, 1 freezing, 1 snake, 1 rat, and 1 Venom Strike or something. Like that. Then whenever you play the Subject 9, you're drawing, you know, 2, 3, maybe 4 cards. Gets rid of those secrets from the deck as well. So it's almost like playing a Hemet. Oh no, I was wrong. Oh no, this is the other one. I was still wrong. Alright. Last 10. Let's see if anyone is going to be right. So Security Rover. So 6 mana, 2/5 mech. Whenever this minion takes damage, summon a 2/3 mech with Taunt. That's pretty huge because we have a lot of like whirlwind effects where we can start, you know, profiting 1 damage for 2/3 worth of stats. It's pretty good. Also combos really well with our you know, giving this thing Taunt as well. So I think this is pretty interesting. It might cost 1 too many though. It just might cost 1 too much mana. Especially at 6, there's a lot of good things you can do at 6. But it's also a pretty reasonable follow-up to a Brawl. Crystallizer. This is a card that we talked about before, and probably one of the stronger 1-drops in the set. Combos with quite a lot of things. 1 mana 1/3, which we already know is very good. Battlecry, deal 5 damage to your hero and gain 5 armor. So this is a neutral way to deal damage to ourselves. So if we want to do Light Warden heal stuff in any class, it's now even easier. It works quite well with the 3 mana 1/5 Warlock card we were talking about before, the Buster, as this card alone gives it +5 attack on turn 4. Yeah, just all round fantastic card. It lets you heal up in like a controlling deck as well. You know, we can get a 1/3 body, and then we can start using cards like we can use the Priest Hero Power, that kind of stuff. Even play cards like Earthen Ring Farseer just to heal up a little bit. Deals damage to you as well, so it can be good with the Warlock Spellstone. Potential use in Warrior with Battle Rage, that's 100% right, Fuzz, spot on. You can use this to put damage on yourself early, to make sure that your battle rages always draw at least one. It's also a 1/3, which can tango pretty early, maybe get you another card there. Alright, well I've talked about it a little bit this whole time, so I'll finally talk about War Gear. We're going to be playing a lot of this card. I think Mech is a pretty budget option outside of Ziliax. There are a lot of great common mechs, and War Gear is one of the best reasons to play them. Like 5 mana, 5/5 stats is good, and the fact that we can magnetic this onto things and essentially have charge or rush is mind-blowing. It's huge. It's like a blessing of kings that you... I think Kibler was saying it's like a blessing of kings, but you can just play it on its own as well. And that's huge. So, Brawl Diamol rip, yeah. How the mighty have fallen. But I guess they decided that this is the direction they want to move with 1-drops, that like 1/3 is like previous... I think the previous meta we lived in was like the 1 mana 2/1 meta. And then the 1/3s kind of broke that a little bit, and also Firefly. And now we're in the 1 mana 1/3 meta. Oh no. Look at everyone being wrong about your choices. How does that feel? Probably doesn't feel too good though. I'm sorry. I'm sorry everyone. You're fantastic. I appreciate your support. And we're definitely going to crack some more packs. Oh my gosh. Ooh, Golden Voltaic Burst. Give me the tokens. Alright, lucky last. Give it an extra rub for good luck. Yeah. Nah. No dice. No dice. Alright, well, let's grab another 40, hey. Okay, we're back with another 43 packs. So, we're definitely going to get one legend in here because of the pity time. So, we got 42 packs left. I just had to open one. I was too antsy. Got 42 packs left. Give me a number, and it's going to be whatever number is displayed on here. That's the number that you're going for. So this is number 41. This pack. Give me a number, because we're definitely going to open one. And it should be in the first... should be in the first 30-something packs, for sure. So feel free to go, guess a single-digit number, but at your own peril. 37 Luna for sure. My gosh, you're so on this Luna train. 100%. 100% for sure. Alright, well let's start creeping towards 37 whilst people get their guesses. Skaterbot. We didn't talk about this guy. It's actually pretty interesting. I think this will be one of the like there might be some mech builds where you play not exactly tech cards, but like utility cards. Often those are kind of the same, but maybe you play one Skaterbot in the deck because you want to potentially have access to the ability to give something rush. But you don't really want to play it on turn 1. Pack 12, let's go. Okay. Pack 12 might be 23, sticking with the rogue spell. Ooh! No one was early enough, but this does mean that we might hit the... we'll get really close to the pity timer on the second lot. So 12 could actually be a really good guess. But Electra Storm Surge, this is a pretty fun one. I think this card is just one of those legendaries that just might make it into like every Shaman build, except for Even. Just because this effect is so strong. Like, turn 6, play this, Lightning Storm, your opponent's board is gone. You also have no mana crystals left, but your opponent's board's gone, and you have a 3/3. Even this with just like Zap or something is pretty strong. So, I really like this card, but it's not exciting in the way that a lot of other legendaries are. It's just good. It's also an elemental, which could help some of those decks. Ooh, Goblin Prank. 2 mana Hunter card, Hunter spell. Give a friendly minion +3/+3 and rush. It dies at the end of the turn. So, yeah, could be pretty interesting with as a way to activate your Devil's Or eggs. But I don't know if you want more ways to do that. You know, Play Dead is very good. It's very efficient. The 3 mana, the Terrascale Stalker, is also quite good. Do you think she'd resolve Overload twice for the spells? I believe she does. Overload's like part of the spell resolving. And it also happens like with cards like Yogg Saron. Like Yogg will still overload your mana crystals when he casts spells. But yeah, who knows? Like if this could actually be a great answer for a lot of those Death Roll Hunter decks for these, you know, mech mid-range lists where you can use your mana to start trading early and also create a board presence. Could be interesting. So no Luna. No Luna. But still, it's okay. We got 23 and 12. Okay. You want to take another shot at which pack Luna is going to be in? Ooh. So we opened one of these before. We didn't talk about the Beryllium Nullifier. 7 mana 3/8. So obviously not very good stats. But we do have the hexproof thing, can't be targeted by spells or hero powers, and it is magnetic, so unfortunately still doesn't stop it from being silenced by an owl or a spellbreaker, but will stop it from being, you know, Shadow of Death, any other like big single target removal. But yeah, it doesn't protect it from board clears, doesn't protect it from being silenced, which I think are actually 2 of the more likely ways that things are going to get killed. So I don't think I don't know, not sure if the Nullifier is going to see too much play. I'm defeated. You'll just have to craft it. I guess I will. I'd be happy to craft it, I think. Like whilst it does seem like a bit memey, it also seems like it might have some power to it. Oh my gosh, this is a lot. Golden Soul Infusion. Nice. All cards we've talked about. I was so happy to talk about something new. We've opened a lot of Soul Infusions. I guess that's a good thing. Like, as we know, 1 mana cards are oft nerfed. 23. Closing in on 23. What if the Luna is in fact 23? Gosh. Okay, so next pack is 23. I'll slow roll it for you too. No dice. Sorry, Fuzz. Okay, so the next one is 12. Ooh. So we got the Star Aligner. I think this name is very apt. If you control 3 minions with 7 health, deal 7 damage to all enemies on battle cry. So truly the stars will have to align for this to work out for you. Like, pretty sure if you control 3 minions with 7 health, you're already doing pretty well for yourself. But who knows, maybe some druids will try to do this with the bolster guy, the guy that gives all your taunts +2/+2, so you can have all your scarabs have 7 health. But Does it work if you have more than 3 minions with 7 health? I hope so. Exactly 3 minions with 7 health. I assume it doesn't count itself as well because it's a battle cry. Alright, 12. We're pretty likely to open another legendary as well. 30x packs. This is why I don't gamble, yeah. Another C4 bomb. Another Astromancer. Happy to have it. Golden Brainstorm. Alright. Next pack. Here we go. Number 12. Ooh. Ooh. Double epic pack though. Ectomancy, what is this? Summon copies of all demons you control. It's kind of interesting. I'm wondering if this... Yeah, maybe. This could be an interesting like one-of in a demon deck. Like a very demon-focused zoo list. Like, I think if you get to do this and your board is like a Despicable Dreadlord or a Doomguard and like 1 or 2 other demons, like that's kind of fine. Whether or not you'll be able to do that is a different question. Okay, let's see if we get one in these last 12 packs. I'm kind of feeling like the last pack will have something. The very last pack. Come on. Another star aligner. Gosh, please. My stars do not go. Oh. There we go. There we go, Basil. No need to craft it. Unfortunately, we didn't get a golden one, but beggars can't be choosers. Now I guess we have to make a deck with it, right? Glad we got 2 from this set of packs. Hell yeah, got that Luna. There we go. Awesome. Let's kick it on over. Thanks for checking out the pack opening. I'm sure there'll be many packs to come. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed that.